Hello everyone, my name is Natalie and welcome to my channel. Has there ever been a book that was really hyped up for you that you were so excited to read and it ended up being a big letdown? Well, for me, this was that book. Today I will be reviewing Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars, and if you want to know why it was so disappointing to me, keep watching. Be warned, as this is a sequel, there will be spoilers for Strange the Dreamer in this video. Muse of Nightmares picks up immediately where Strange the Dreamer ended. Sarai has died and Minya has taken control of her soul as leverage against Laszlo to help her seek her revenge against the people of Weep. Sarai is struggling with feelings of helplessness and accepting her new reality as a ghost and being under Minya's merciless control, while Laszlo is coming to terms with his true heritage and identity. They are also trying to figure out the secrets of the Mistartham. Who were they really? Where did they come from? And why did they choose to come to Weep? And what happened to the thousands of Godspawn born out of captivity and raised in the nursery before the slaughter? Who are the real villains or monsters in this story, and who are the heroes? And can the villains be saved? These are all the questions that Muse of Nightmares attempts to answer. Let's start with the things I liked. There was a better focus on world building in Muse of Nightmares compared to Strange the Dreamer, and the universe expands greatly, but you still get a good feel for the cultures and the settings. A lot of my questions from Strange the Dreamer were answered. This book does get very dark and brutal, and as beautiful as the writing is and the family and friendship in it, doesn't shy away from the harsh reality of war. There is a long list of trigger warnings for this book. War themes, death, torture, slavery, and trafficking, talk of implied past rape, child abuse, PTSD, grief, and there's also some graphic violence. Muse of Nightmares is all about dealing with and healing from trauma and trying to build a new, better life. The theme of redemption also runs very strongly through this book. As much as I enjoyed the romance between Laszlo and Sarai in Strange the Dreamer, there is a slightly less focus on it in Muse of Nightmares, if that's something that you didn't really like about the first book. Romance is definitely still present, but again, there's a lot of focus on the trauma and the healing and expanding the universe of Strange the Dreamer. Romance is used simply as one of the many ways through which healing and redemption can take place. There is a complexity to this book and its character dynamics. There's villains, but also antagonists, heroes, and people who aren't really what they seem. One character can be viewed as a monster or a villain, while from their perspective, that monster is someone else. Like I said before, war plays a big role in this book and greatly influences the characters and their arcs. Many of the characters do suffer from some form of PTSD. Muse of Nightmares says a lot about war and how it affects different people in different ways, and how war can make monsters of us all. But it's also about healing and seeing the good in others, about forgiving others and yourself. Most importantly, Muse of Nightmares is about love. Platonic, romantic, familial. It's about love. So I really enjoyed the themes and messages this book explored, and the beautiful relationships and character development that could come from those things. On that very sappy note, let's turn to what you actually came here for. Why Muse of Nightmares was so disappointing. Laini Taylor is known for her very beautiful, quotable writing. I'm not gonna lie, that's probably part of why I enjoyed Strange the Dreamer so much. But the more I read this book, the more I started to see the flaws in her writing. It seemed like she focused more on making the book sound beautiful. There were a lot of construction and pacing issues to me. And I think they could have been fixed had she paid more attention to those aspects of the book and been more careful in her planning. Again, I think Muse of Nightmares explores some really great themes, and there's a good story in here, but it's marred by a lack of organization and construction. As for the pacing issues, the first half of the book was really slow and hard for me to get into. And I feel like that shouldn't be the case. I should be very invested and emotional because Sarai, one of the main characters of the series, has just died. And she's processing all of that, and so are the other characters, and so is the reader. And then you get to this part somewhere in there where Sarai and Laszlo are kind of in a limbo about how they should proceed with Minya. A lot of debates and discussions, and some small things happen, but nothing that really moves the plot and characters forward that much. The second half of the book, things do pick up, but the thing is, you have to get through that first part. Most people are already discouraged or intimidated simply by the length of the book, and you need to make sure that the reader is hooked and compelled to keep reading. When it comes to long books, I don't think they should feel as long as they actually are. Muse of Nightmares felt longer to me, more like I was reading a book like Les Miserables or Gone with the Wind rather than a book half their size. Like in Strange the Dreamer, there are chapters told from different characters' perspectives, and because of that, you end up with several subplots. You have the main plot with Laszlo, Sarai, and the other Godspawn in the Citadel. You have a subplot with Dionero down in the city of Weep. And you also have a subplot involving two new characters, Cora and Nova, who are sisters with unprecedented powers. All these storylines eventually converge and tie together for some of the big plot twists. However, these different perspectives and subplots just aren't balanced well. In the first half of the book, they are sorely neglected. They are few and far between. You're mainly getting Sarai and Laszlo. All three of them end up playing key roles in major discoveries and plot points, yet for the first half of the book, they were virtually ignored. I'd get to a chapter with Thaon or Cora and Nova, and I was like, oh, I forgot this was even a thing. Last, I'd say quarter to third of the book, things pick up and it gets very fast-paced. It gets to the point where pretty much every chapter it switches perspectives. The way things progressed on that part of the book, it seemed really rushed to me. Like Laini Taylor was just writing and then realized she needed to end this book. There are also multiple instances of these big fights, and they feel like they're building and building up to something, and then they end up in a stalemate of some kind and nothing happens. It's anticlimactic, and it was very frustrating to me because I was just waiting for something to actually happen. While more people are involved in Muse of Nightmares, I felt like a lot of the side characters just stalled in their development when I was expecting the opposite to happen. One of the reasons why I was excited to read Muse of Nightmares was because I'd get more of Feral, Ruby, and Sparrow. Feral and Ruby's perspectives and scenes mainly still revolve around their personal relationship, and I still feel like it didn't go very far or do much for them in terms of their development. I was hoping to get to know them more, have them play a bigger role in the book, they'd get more development, and this applies to Sparrow as well. Sparrow's powers develop more in Muse of Nightmares, and she plays a big role in one of the plot twists, but we still don't see that much of her. This development in her powers happens quickly and conveniently. I will say that both Minya and Thaon go through a lot of character development. I was just really disappointed with the Godspawn siblings because this whole book, this whole duology really is about family. Another thing is the strange book that Feral was basically obsessing over in Strange the Dreamer. Expected it to play a big role because at the front of the book you have these pages with a mysterious drawing on it, and when I saw that, I immediately thought of the book because they couldn't decipher the language it was in. He has spent so much time trying to figure it out, and once Laszlo is in the picture, the book's significance is revealed, and I thought it would be I don't know, bigger. It does end up playing a role with where the rest of the book goes, but it still didn't seem that present to me. Like, I wasn't shocked that much with what happened with the book, even though it's this big plot twist, discovery thing when it comes to learning about the Misartham and Weep's history. I think my emotional reaction was dampened by how they came to that discovery. As much as I love Laszlo, I feel like his powers were pretty convenient and were the solution to a lot of the problems the characters encountered. And it just came off as borderline Gary Stu-ish to me. And I really do not want to say that. And I really don't want to say that about one of my favorite characters of all time. So those are all my thoughts on Muse of Nightmares. If you have read this duology, or even just Strange the Dreamer, what did you think of the book? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel for more reviews and bookish fun. And remember to click the notification bell so you can stay up to date. Have a wonderful rest of your day, keep reading, and I will see you next time here on the Mighty Quill.